Today, we're diving deep into the backwaters of Kerala in South India. It's a world that, honestly, looks like it's straight out of a dream. But the real question is this floating paradise as perfect as it seems? Well, let's find out together.
I mean, just let that sink in for a moment. This house is surrounded on all sides by water. For thousands of people, that's not some poetic line. It's just reality. Imagine your front yard, your street, your entire world is water. That's daily life in the Alleppey region.
So Alleppey, it's the smallest district in Kerala, but it has this huge nickname, the Venice of the East. And let me tell you, it's earned that nickname. This is a city built not on roads, but on this incredible, sprawling network of canals and waterways. And here's what's so wild. Every single piece of normal, everyday infrastructure has had to adapt. Life doesn't stop because of the water. It just flows right along with it. Getting groceries, going to school, heading to the hospital, it all happens on these canals.
And make no mistake, this isn't just some gimmick for tourists. This is the real deal public transit system. You'll see these government boats packed with people, carrying everything from bags of vegetables to heavy gas cylinders. It's the absolute lifeblood of the whole community, linking up dozens of tiny islands and homes.
And this right here just perfectly captures the whole thing. This young student gets to school on a government boat, totally free of charge. But you know what? The excitement, the noise, the friendships happening inside that floating school, that's exactly the same as any school you'd find on solid ground.
So you might be wondering, what does a typical day actually look like when your entire world is built on water?
Well, the whole rhythm of life is set by the water. In the morning, you see kids waiting at these little jetties, just like we'd wait at a bus stop. By evening, a boat might just pull up to your door selling ice cream. Even life's biggest moments, weddings, funerals, they're all marked by these beautiful processions of boats gliding through the canals.
This really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? For every land-based thing we take for granted, there's a water-based version here. The local boat, the shikara, that's not a luxury item, that's the family car. And if there's an emergency, you're not calling for an ambulance, you're calling for a skilled boat rider, fast.
So when it comes right down to it, the boat and the person driving it are everything. They're the connection to school, to the hospital, to work, and to each other. They are, quite literally, the lifeline for this entire community.
Now, it is so easy to get swept up in the romance of it all. I mean, it's beautiful. But underneath this picture-perfect surface, there is a much, much more complicated story. This paradise, well, it comes with a pretty heavy price.
Just look at that. An endless expanse of water, stretching out as far as the eye can see. It's stunning, right? But hold on, because here comes the paradox. Get this, in a place that is literally surrounded by water, clean drinking water is actually a rare, expensive thing. People have to buy it, paying 2 rupees for every single liter, just to have something safe to drink. It's a shocking reality.
And you can just feel that struggle in the voice of Vandana, one of the residents. For her family, the water isn't a beautiful view, it's a barrier. It's a constant danger that keeps her kids from playing outside, and it makes her feel completely trapped, stuck because of their financial situation.
Now, I want you to look at this number, 2018. For this community, this isn't just a year. It's a year that's burned into their memory, a year that changed absolutely everything.
In one abandoned home, this is what you'll find. A clock, frozen. A calendar, still showing 2018. It's this haunting memorial to the devastating floods that forced a family to just run, leaving everything behind. It's a constant, silent reminder that the very same water that gives life can also take it all away.
But, and this is a really big but, the people here are nothing if not resilient. They haven't just adapted to living on the water, they've built their entire economy around it.
It all starts with the humble coconut tree. The husk gets processed into this raw fiber called coir. In the local factories, you'll see older women whose hands move with this incredible, practiced speed, spinning the fiber into thick rope. Then the men take over, weaving these ropes on big looms into mats and all sorts of other products.
And to give you an idea of how big a deal this isn't just some small-time local craft. A staggering 80% of all the coir produced in India, the world's biggest producer, comes from right here in Kerala. This local industry has a massive national impact.
But that work, it really takes a toll. The coir factories are just filled with dust. The constant roar of the boat engines can lead to permanent hearing loss. And you have men who dive for clams, spending hours and hours underwater in a really tough, physically demanding job. The wage, about 800 rupees a day, it comes at a very high physical cost.
And of course, it's not just coir. This region is actually known as the Rice Bowl of Kerala, with these huge green paddy fields. There's also clam diving for fresh seafood, and the unique tradition of tapping toddy, a local palm wine, from way up high in the coconut trees.
So, how do we make sense of this place? Is it a paradise or is it a place of struggle? Well, Kerala's famous slogan is God's own country, and maybe the answer lies in understanding that it's actually both.
So let's just lay it all out. This is the reality of the backwaters. On one side, you have this incredible beauty, a deep sense of community, a peaceful, slow pace of life. And on the other, you have the constant threat of floods, a lack of clean drinking water, and the immense physical hardship of daily work. And yet, despite all those challenges, there is an undeniable peace here. People from different faiths live side by side, in harmony. The speed of life slows down to the pace of a boat gliding through the water. And maybe that unity and that sense of calm are the true ingredients of what makes it God's own country.
In the end, life here really is like one of their own coir mats. You have these strands of incredible beauty and immense hardship, and they're woven together to create something strong, something unique. And it leaves us with a question, doesn't it? Is paradise a place with no problems at all? Or is it a place where people find peace and unity in spite of them? What truly makes a place God's own country?